What is modern medicine? Medically reviewed by Daniel Morrill, MD on October 31, 2018, written by the MNT editorial team. Infectious diseases. Louis Pasteur. Florence Nightingale. Timeline of milestones, 19th century timeline, 20th century timeline, 2000 to now. Where are we now? Takeaway, challenges. Today modern medicine, or medicine as we know it, started to emerge after the Industrial Revolution in the 18th century. At this time, there was rapid growth in economic activity in Western Europe and the Americas. During the 19th century, economic and industrial growth continued to develop, and people made many scientific discoveries and inventions. Scientists made rapid progress in identifying and preventing illnesses and in understanding how bacteria and viruses work. However, they still had a long way to go regarding the treatment and cures of infectious diseases. Infectious diseases. Victorian workers were exposed to new problems and diseases. During the 19th century, the way that people were living and working was changing dramatically. These changes affected the risk of infectious diseases and other conditions. Industry. As more manufacturing processes became mechanized, various work-related diseases became more common. These included lung disease, dermatitis, and phossy jaw, a type of jaw necrosis that affected people working with phosphorus, usually in the match industry. Urban sprawl. Cities started to expand rapidly, and certain health problems, such as typhus and cholera, became more common as a result. Travel. As people traveled between various parts of the world, they carried diseases with them, including yellow fever. Meanwhile, scientific advances at that time started to make new treatments possible. Scientific breakthroughs. As germ theory developed, scientists began to test and prove the principles of hygiene and antisepsis in treating wounds and preventing infection. New inventions included the electrocardiograph, which records the electrical activity of the heart over time. Communications. As postal services and other communications improved, medical knowledge was able to spread rapidly. Political changes. Democracy led to people demanding health as a human right. The 19th and 20th centuries saw breakthroughs occurring in infection control. At the end of the 19th century, 30% of deaths were due to infection. By the end of the 20th century, this figure had fallen to less than 4%. Louis Pasteur. Louis Pasteur (1822–1895), a chemist and microbiologist from France, was one of the founders of medical microbiology. As a professor of chemistry at the University of Lille, he and his team had the task of finding solutions to some of the problems that were affecting local industries. Pasteur showed that bacteria caused wine, beer, and milk to go sour. Boiling and cooling a liquid, he explained, would remove the bacteria. Together, Louis Pasteur and Claude Bernard (1813–1878) developed a technique for pasteurizing liquids. Claude Bernard was also the first scientist to suggest using blind experiments to make scientific observations more objective. Later, after investigating an epidemic among silkworms in the silk industry in the south of France, Pasteur determined that parasites were the cause. He recommended only using silkworm eggs that were healthy and had no parasites. This action resolved the epidemic, and the silk industry recovered. Pasteur was sure that pathogens attack the body from the outside. This was the germ theory of disease. However, many scientists could not believe that microscopic beings could harm and even kill people and other comparatively large species. Pasteur said that many diseases, including tuberculosis, TB, cholera, anthrax, and smallpox, happen when germs enter the body from the environment. He believed that vaccines could prevent such diseases and went on to develop a vaccine for rabies. Florence Nightingale. Florence Nightingale impacted attitudes to hospital hygiene, nursing, and the role of women in healthcare. Florence Nightingale (1820–1910) was a British nurse, statistician, and writer. She did pioneering nursing work while caring for wounded soldiers during the Crimean War. Nightingale was from a well-connected family. At first, they did not approve of her studying nursing. However, her parents eventually agreed that she could take a 3-month nursing course in Germany in 1851. By 1853, she was the superintendent of a women's hospital in Harley Street, London. The Crimean War broke out in 1854. Sidney Herbert, the Minister for War, asked Nightingale to lead a team of nurses in the military hospitals in Turkey. She arrived in Scutari, Turkey in 1854 with 34 nurses whom she had trained. Nightingale was shocked by what she saw. Exhausted medical staff members were tending to wounded soldiers in unbearable pain, many of whom were dying unnecessarily, while the officials in charge remained indifferent. A lack of medication and poor hygiene standards led to mass infection. Nightingale and her team worked tirelessly to improve hygiene and provide patient services, including cooking facilities and a laundry. Under her influence, the fatality rate fell by 2/3. In 1860, Nightingale founded a training school for nurses in London. Nurses who trained there went on to work all over the United Kingdom. They took with them everything that they had learned about sanitation and hygiene, proper hospital planning, and the best ways to achieve health. Nightingale's work also marked a turning point for women, who took on a more significant role in medical care. Many of her practices still apply today. If you like more video, just share and subscribe on this channel. Thank you.